In this short chapter, we'll look at where you can find more information about use cases and some questions that you can ask yourself when you're considering using decision services. Let's look at the agenda. It boils down to this question: when should I use a decision service? Let's start with some big picture questions. Decision services are great for sharing rules when you only want to share rules. You don't want to share a user interface, where you don't want to have extra items that you're going to share. Maybe the rules are changing very frequently. Since decision services can be updated easily independently of an Oracle policy modeling project that's referring to them, this is a selling point. Maybe you want the changes to the rules to be immediately rolled out and available to consuming deployments, which is essentially the same thing, but what we're kind of saying is, in some respects, it's more efficient than an inclusion. The rules are written in English. Well, obviously right now, since it's all in English, if you're writing in English, then that's a good reason to use it. Sometimes a more limited explanation of the outcome is sufficient. We spoke earlier about how there are no decision reports. There are no explanations in decision services. So at most you could, for example, have an output object which had some explanatory text. If that's good enough, then that's another reason why decision services might be right for you. The second last point is a key one. Maybe the person who's going to be doing the editing doesn't have policy modeling and you want to give them a web-only access. Some of the points are developed at the link that you can see at the bottom of this page, and I would recommend reading that link in any case because it's bound to evolve over time. Let's look at some further questions we might ask ourselves. Clearly, when you're envisaging outsourcing management, either outsourcing management of the rules, or outsourcing management of the testing, or even outsourcing management of simplistic tables, reference data. Maybe your service has a lot of reference data, like the minimum wage per province and per state, and rather than have to redeploy an Oracle policy modeling project every time the minimum wage changes, so once a year, once a quarter, once every 6 months, using it in a decision service would allow you to hand off responsibility for that to somebody else, and they wouldn't have to learn Oracle policy modeling. If you're using Visual Builder and you want to consume some logic from Oracle Intelligent Advisor, then a decision service is a great choice, since Oracle Visual Builder includes the ability to grab that logic and implement it within the Visual Builder application. Or when you want a simpler approach, no temporal reasoning, no reference relationships, a limited set of functions, any of those could be a winner. While you're at it, I would strongly recommend that you go back and consider the differences with inclusions. What are the advantages of inclusions in terms of easier management, in terms of complete version history within the Oracle Policy Modeling project versus using a decision service through a reference? And I've said this several times, but I'll say it again. If you have large amounts of reference data, tables, scales, ratings, micro-calculations that are then consumed in Oracle policy modeling, a decision service could potentially be the best choice, but beware the number of references you might end up with if the same scale is consumed in multiple ways by the same Oracle policy modeling project. Look at the examples. Find them online. There's the link again. Look at the ways they demonstrate calling the same service from different projects, calling the same service from the same project with different mappings through different references, how they can leverage inferred entities that are output objects from decision services, how you can pre-populate a relationship collect courtesy of that output object, how you can, once again, outsource certain elements of your business logic to a decision service. Go find that link, go read it, and download the examples and try them out. That pretty much summarizes our question: is when should I use a decision service? See you in the next chapter.